This is I, Tantus Narayan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to discuss EARTHDAWN. I was talking about the disciplines last time. Let's talk about talents this time. Now for a talent. If I have a talent, I'm using my adept powers to manipulate the magical energies of the astral plane to use some kind of effect in the physical world. Disciplines determine how you're going to be manipulating these energies and these talents into the forms they're going to be. A talent will oftentimes replace some other kind of test. Your talent is going to have an attribute linked to it that you're going to help figure out what your talent step is, that you're going to use the rank you have in said talent plus your attribute step to figure out your talent step when rolling it. The difficulty is going to be based either around the target you're using the talents on's defense, whatever defense is appropriate, or some kind of number that is defined by the very talent itself. When someone is being affected by a talent, they can only be affected by that talent once at a time. So it's like I'm hitting someone with that talent, I technically couldn't hit them with it again. There are sort of ways around this. If you're using a talent that affects, let's say, yourself for multiple rounds and has a duration of a certain number of rounds, I could use the talent again in order to refresh those number of rounds, but effectively I'm only hitting them with the talent once still. One effect, I'm just extending the duration if it lasts longer, so it's hitting them only once still. Now the basics, of course, is the talent test, the test of the talent, which you're rolling your talent rank plus your appropriate attribute stat against whatever difficulty is appropriate to that, but there isn't always a talent test. If your talent specifically replaces something, such as your initiative, then it would be an initiative test that you'd be rolling, not a talent test when it replaces it. So let's say I have a talent that enhances my initiative. It's not a talent test when I'm rolling it, if it tells me to roll something. It's still initiative. I'm just replacing it. If I have multiple talents that replace the same thing, I would choose which one I would use at the time of using it. That means I could not replace it and then replace it again, sort of thing. I would replace it with one of them, use that one. I could choose a different one next time, my option. If the test again has a difficulty, if I should exceed it by a lot, I might get advantageous situations. Now the thing is about any of these basic rules is there's always an exception, but they are written in the individual talents. These are the basics, unless it specifically says this is how it works. If the talent itself says something different, then that is how that talent works. Now, there is an advantage over discipline talents over talent options. Discipline talents, you can spend a karma point on. If I would spend a karma point on a discipline talent, I am allowed to roll my karma test, and whatever number I have, I could add it to the result of my talent test, and that would be my new result. I'm allowed to do that because it is my discipline talent. Now, of course, there are some talents that could be discipline talents or otherwise that don't have a roll associated with it. Karma doesn't help then. Some, of course, might be just rolling your talent rank and using that as your test. Again, you could add karma to that. Unless it is otherwise stated, you can only use one karma for one use of that talent. That means at a time, I'm using this talent, one karma. Again, there could be exceptions. Now, the duration of my talent, if it has a duration, is going to be based upon my rank. My rank multiplied by whatever it says under said talent of the duration. It could be hours, minutes, it could be rounds. It will tell you under the talent what kind of duration it would be, multiplied by rank tells me how long it will last. Now, because all talents are indeed magical, they can be dispelled, but not all of them can be dispelled. But let's say you have the magic spell of dispelling, some kind of dispel magic effect. You can dispel it. It has a difficulty number based upon the rank you have in said talent. The thing is, it's only for a spell, an effect with a duration. I cannot counter something that is just being used quickly or something that is intrinsic that you don't have to have a dice roll to activate. Those can't be dispelled. Only things that you would activate and have a duration. There are certain talents which are more resistant or weaker to dispelling. It will list those under those specific talents. Otherwise, as I said, based upon the rank of the talent for the difficulty in dispelling it. Now let's talk about the statistics of a talent. The first one is, of course, the talent step. What kind of step you're going to do. It's going to either list it that it is the attribute that is appropriate to it plus your talent rank, or it could just be the talent rank, or there could be none. As I said, it could be none, there could be nothing associated with it. I will not have to roll anything, I just do it, it's done. Granted, oftentimes this means it would just be ongoing because I don't have to make a test to do it. That would be the more likely that if it doesn't have a test listed, it would be. Now it will list the type of action it would be. There are 5 types of actions it could be: standard, simple, free, sustained, or not applicable, NA. If it is a standard, it is a standard action that you would do on your turn. It is, you just can do it on a turn, 1 per turn. You have 1 standard on your turn. You use the talent. It's done. If it is simple, it technically requires little to no time to do it. It is effectively something you can do for free during your turn. There are a certain number of simple actions you can do. You are limited by what your game master and the overall consensus of the team is. But when it's simple, there's still some kinds of like gestures. You're saying something. You're doing something to activate it. You can just do it with everything else you're doing on your turn. If it is free, it's even less than that. It's effectively the same thing. There's a limited number of them. You don't have to do a lot to do it. It's just that you do it. I'm standing here. Oh, something happened. I used a talent. Unless the talent itself says something, there's no display that the talent was used. If it's sustained, it's on the other hand longer. It will tell you how long. You will have to use a standard on a certain number of turns in order for this talent to be ineffective. It could say a number of turns, it could say a number of minutes, it could say a number of hours that you'd have to be using every one of your turns, the standard to maintain it, that you could be interrupted at that point in time, or you could stop it and fail at it. You need a certain amount of time in order to activate it. The not applicable means you're not going to use an action for it. It's just going to be done. It just could be always active. You're not going to have to do anything to turn it on. No kinds of actions. Now, it will also tell you under the talent description, karma use. Now, what is this? It means I may have to use a karma point in order to use this talent. I could also use a recovery test to draw the energy necessary to use said talent, but it is more difficult than just spending a karma point in order to do it. So if I run out of karma points, I'm not screwed. It's just not reliable anymore because I might not make it. On the other hand, just using a karma point, I activate it and it just goes off. I do all the normal rules for it, but I have to spend it. There is an advantage here if it is a disciplined talent. If it is a disciplined talent, I can, with this karma point cost, I can either do one of 2 things. I could use it and then count as if I had used a karma point to get the extra karma step roll and add the extras to this talent, being a disciplined talent, or I could choose not to use that. If a disciplined talent has a karma cost, I could also choose not to do the karma cost. I can just do it because it's part of my discipline. That's a big advantage. As I said, you could still use that karma point cost, and then you'd get the advantage of the extra die if it's applicable to said check. It might not be applicable to that check to do. Again, it could be one that it cost you a karma point, but there's no die roll. That you would just have to worry about activating it there, and you wouldn't have to use it if it's disciplined talent. Again, unless stated, you're limited to 1 karma point you can spend per turn, regardless. So, if you have a talent that costs you 1 karma point and it's not a disciplined talent, you're only going to be spending 1 on it again unless you can actually say so. Now, the last thing described here is strain. What is strain? Strain means that when I use said talent, it draws upon some of my own life force and causes a backlash to me. It's painful to use this talent, but it might be more powerful because I'm taking the strain. Strain is damage that you just take. Armor or nothing of the such stops you from taking this damage. You just get hit by it. The amount of strain, of course, depends on whatever it would say here. Strain does not cause wounds unless it specifically says under the talent. So I could take a huge amount of strain damaging myself in order to use some kind of talent, and I won't take a wound at least. From then on, the talents are listed alphabetically in here, so if you're looking at what your talents do, you can look at the list here. You can, of course, see your discipline to see which ones you can choose from, read about them, figure them out, see what it really means to have said talents, and if you want to take them or not. If it would be important to you, and it's important to your discipline. Of course, if it says it's a disciplined talent, of course, it's going to be important to you, but you're going to see how important it is and how much you want to put ranks in it. So that's it for today. I talked about talents. I went over all the talents, gave you some basic information on them, talked a lot about them, gave you information about what it means for their descriptions, what it means to use the talents, talking about the talent test, using karma on them, all the information you need to know about talents. Next time is skills, and I'll go into the depths of skills and talk about them some more. So if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Show support for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.